is I believe that these truths are universal. So what that means is whether or not I am alive, dead, the last person on earth that believes it, nobody on earth believes it, or everybody on earth believes it, it is true. Cosmically,
Right.
universally, it will always be true. Jesus is the Son of God, the Trinity, this thing is bad, this thing is good, blah, blah, blah. These are moral, universal truths, right? They're,
Right. Well, and it's
you
it's
do not,
built
if
on that
you don't,
foundation. That's the thing, is like you can't build your house on sand. You have to build it on the rock. Why has the
right,
Catholic Church lasted 1,000 years? Right? Because it's
right,
built on truth. Like the Orthodox Church, why is it built? Why is the Orthodox Church and the Catholic Church not changing? Why are they not hanging pride flags up? Because there's a solid
some of
foundation.
them.
It's based on truth. Why is the Methodist Church, why are priests literally wearing like rainbow flag, whatever they're called, little dresses on Sunday morning, like doing gay weddings? Because they're not built on truth. They're
I
touching the
don't think
truth.
it's
They're
even,
manipulating the truth to suit their agendas, but they're based on emotions. They're based on the physical, the world. Like their life is based on their physical life, their physical surroundings, their pleasures, their emotions, not the spiritual truth that is what you're saying, like the logos, the word of God, the actual objective reality that we live in. The creation that was made and created by the creator. They're going off of just their temporary wants and desires. My last live stream I did this morning, so back in the feed, I talked about the rich young ruler. Jesus encounters a rich young ruler who, kind of with his lips and not with his heart, asks, "Hey, Jesus, what can I do to inherit the kingdom?" And Jesus says, "Give away your possessions and follow me. Pick up your cross, carry it, follow me." And the rich young ruler walks away sad and nameless, rewardless, because he could not bear to give away his earthly status, his earthly titles, his earthly riches, all of his earthly possessions, the things that made him feel good in the here and now, to inherit the eternal reward that is the truth and love of God. And that's kind of the bigger picture problem. And what you're describing perfectly is that someone like Jordan Peterson is so unwilling to let go of his idols, his temporary pleasures, his status, his position, his good feelings in the here and now, for the eternal reward that's awaiting him in heaven.
but he talks about it though. So I mean,
Yeah.
I don't see, the thing is if you look at his philosophy and his ideas of responsibility and that people need responsibilities and sacrifice and pain, and he talks about a lot of these Christian ethics and values, and he tends to address them to himself as well. And I would not be surprised if him personally, right? Personally, he adopts a pseudo-Christian type of lifestyle, right? That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to church or anything, but when we're talking about like these almost like archetypes, right? If you look at like the seven virtues and the seven, deadly sins, and things of that nature, a lot of classical liberals tend to look at those and they look up to them, because at the end of the day, humanism, or whatever stupid word that they want to call their fake moral system, right?
Yeah.
Whatever they want to call their stupid, ever changing pseudo moral abomination of a moral code. Whenever they look at those things, they might be able to adopt it themselves, but they don't really like to apply it to society, right? They have this problem where they see all of the issues that come from not having those things. They also see those things as being important, and they are able to come to this conclusion without God. And I think the reason they're able to come to this conclusion, even though they don't believe in God, is because truth is truth, whether you believe in God or not. Right? Objective
Yeah.
truth is objective truth. And the source of that truth is obviously God, but you don't even need God to get there. Right? You can understand it without God, but you'll never really like grasp it. And that's the problem I think they have, is that they understand it intellectually, right? They're smart people. They understand why all of these things work and why other things don't work. They get why a society can be built this way and it works, and a society can be built the way that a lot of people want it to go right now and it breaks. They're smart people. They can see group A works, group B doesn't work. But the problem they have is that because they don't accept God as true, right? It's just philosophy to them. Right. It's just another version of philosophy. And because of that, they don't because of the way that they think, they don't like the idea of creating societies where any of that is enforced.
Yeah.
And I think that's what tends to be the problem, and that's something that America has always struggled with, is that you can't say something is morally good and then not do anything about it. So I think a good conversation to have as a civilization right now, especially among the right, is what do we stand for and what do we actually want to do? Because I don't hear anything productive. Like we were getting back to the meat and potatoes of what we were talking about earlier. We need something productive. A lot of secularists, liberals, the Jordan Peterson types, right? They can have all the great ideas in the world they want, and you can apply it individually, and that's great. I like some of Jordan Peterson's lectures about responsibility and things of that nature. I think it helps some guys. I think a lot of them look at that and they go, yeah, you know what, that applies to me. I do need to get some responsibility. I do need to clean my room. I'm looking at my room right now. It's a mess, right? Clean your room. Be a lobster. Or don't be a lobster, however that goes. I forget. You know, there's 12 rules for life or whatever aren't that bad either. But that might help people on an individual level, but it doesn't help people on a societal level. Especially if you don't have the truth behind it, and that you don't, because it doesn't stick. It doesn't stick as well.
Well, then, but applying that to the bigger picture too, like, because you're kind of getting into like that, is like, who are the thought leaders of the Republicans right now? It's like Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro.
Jews.
Well, yeah.
Jews and atheists.
It's people who don't have a spiritual connection to God. They're intellectuals, right. They're physical.
Jews and atheists.
They live in the mental and the physical. They don't live in the spiritual. So these Charlie Kirks and Ben Shapiros are talking about how monetarily, you know, fiscal conservatism, you know, and it's like, you know, Joe Rogan and Jordan B. Peterson are like philosophically, oh, they're quote unquote masculine or whatever. You know, it's like ideals of conservatism, and they're scratching the surface. That's why they can kind of be put into that ballpark or perceived to be, you know, conservatives or Republicans, because they're kind of scratching the surface of truth. But there's no spiritual there. There's no actual like spiritual connection to God, which is why someone like Nick Fuentes, whether you love him or hate him, I mean, I have my disagreements with him or whatever, like, but I respect him because he's spiritually waking people up. His discussions are, yeah, it's a lot of complaints, which kind of turns me off of him just kind of complaining about the way things are. But he's like, here's what we as Christians need to do about it. You know, the solution is based in the spiritual. We need to spiritually reconnect to God. Christ is king. What are we going to do? Let's act upon that. Let's use that as our, you know, our North Star to guide us towards the right direction. That's what we need. Like, that's why conservatism and republicanism is failing. And then the bigger picture, that's why America's failing. Because America is so caught up into the temporary emotions and the physical and the mental, and we're totally lacking the spiritual, which is clearly what's needed, right? It's clearly what's needed. So me and you, like, we need to step up. You know, whoever out there is watching or listening or just wants to make an impact, that's the key, is basing yourself, your truth, like you're basing yourself on the truth of God, letting it guide you and lead you in the right direction, and then spreading that outward into the world for others to see and hear. And, you know, be leaders. We need to lead. We need to lead people spiritually back to God, instead of just leading them to my YouTube channel for clicks, or leading them to the page where they can buy my mugs or whatever.
You hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. Leave a like, comment, and make sure you tell us what you thought. Join. We'll see you in the next one.
Join my mug club. Yeah.
Join my Patreon.
Yeah, Patreon. Subscribe. Join my mug club.